Okay, we are now recording live. I want to thank everybody for listening in. You're listening to Nick of Time, powered by Sparkling Pathways to Careers. I have my crazy family on with me today. We're going to dive into a very, very hot topic. And what's interesting is that, on the Nick of Time, we're always talking about leadership and different ways that we can lead in excellence, but yet we also expose the accidents. And today we want to talk about Black lived experiences that we've actually had. We have on with us today a host of people who come from a very diverse background. When we talk about economic status, when we talk about political views, when we talk about the level of crazy, even that all varies on this line today. We are going to unpack Black lived experiences and expectations in the workplace. And to get us started, I just wanted to go down a little data. And there is the Deloitte University Leadership Center for Inclusion report, and they said that 61% of all employees cover their identities in some way, not necessarily hiding something, but downplaying it for fear of drawing unwanted attention or making others uncomfortable. Then we also have this whole idea and concept of what's called being on guard and also covering. And a report discussing the idea of emotional tax for people of color in the workplace found that 58% of Asians, Blacks, and Latin Americans employees come to work on guard. When we talk about emotional tax, this is defined as a combination of feeling different at work because of gender, race, or ethnicity, and the associated implications of thriving at work. On guard is defined as consciously preparing to deal with potential bias and discrimination. And though we have this uncovering, this being on guard, and there are even other terms that we use when we look at the research that causes Blacks to come to work and not bring their authentic selves or their whole selves for a number of different reasons. And so today we wanted to unpack this whole concept of real lived experiences as to why we're having so many challenges in the workplace. And so I'm just going to shoot it off to one of our listeners, we have listeners who are going to be joining us also live on Facebook, but then we're going to also have the family this is our time together. And while we're together, we're going to have just some deep dive, honest conversations. So who wants to jump right in? Do you think that we are dealing with a whole lot of covering when we get into the workplace? And have you had to experience that?
I guess I can speak. No one else is speaking. Everybody got their things on mute.
That's Tess.
I can say yes. Just it's kind of hard to explain a little bit. Only the reason why I say this is because I am not a dark-skinned Black person. I'm very fair-skinned. So most dark-skinned people tend to think that I get more of a pass than what they get. But I feel like it doesn't matter to me because to me, I don't get the same. I know I'm light-skinned, Kenny, but it doesn't matter.
It matters.
They still think that I'm Black. It doesn't matter if I'm light-skinned, dark-skinned.
So do you feel like you're in the middle? Do you feel like you're in the middle?
Nope. But I feel like they feel like I am more. I have a coworker. She's a little browner than I am, but they tend to, and I don't know, maybe it's just my personality, but they tend to view me as a safer person to come talk to than my coworker. And I don't know if it's because of my skin color or because I'm not my 100% self at work. So I know I cannot be the Tessie that you guys know.
Well, why not though?
Why not?
Because I don't want them to see, if there's an issue, I know I have to address the issue a totally different way. I can't get upset. I can't get angry because I don't want to be looked at as the angry Black woman.
So do you articulate yourself at work different than what she does?
Yes.
That's why they approach you.
She is more true to herself, to them, than I am.
So do you think you have the advantage with white America because you're so fair-skinned?
I think they feel safer with me.
So do you have an advantage?
Correct.
So how do you feel about that?
Asking, do you feel you're in the middle?
Yes.
It depends on the situation.
No, we're talking about work. In the
That's
work.
what I'm saying. It depends. I'm going to put it like this. If I wear my hair natural, which I do all the time, or if I wear it straight, it's like right now, when I went to work with these braids, all those folks that came, oh my God, your hair is so long. And I said, first of all,
got that right.
This is not my hair.
Really?
Yeah, well, all of it's not mine. But
no, that's them saying, really?
Yeah, and it's or they say, oh, I love how you can do your hair different ways. I came to work and I did Bantu knots all over my head for the first time. I said, I'm wearing Bantu knots. I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna go to work, and I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna be me for the first time. Went in, everybody loved it. My boss walked up to me and said, I don't like that.
What?
And you didn't bring out the.
And how did you respond? How did you respond to that? Did you change your hair back?
Yep, you
no.
did. How long?
If I got a hairdo, I keep it for at least 1 week because it's a protective style. I don't take it down for 1 week. So of course he was like, I just don't like it. But everybody else was like, oh, I love your hair. Oh, I love your hair. I love your hair. I love your. And then the other young lady that I work with, she goes, I've always wanted to wear my hair like that, but I was afraid to wear my hair like that because I don't want people to see me in that light.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So let me say this.
How did you answer his questions? What did you say to him when he said to you, I don't like your hair like that?
And I said, well, I love it.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know, what your response
I would have had a whole different response.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly. And I was going to say that for myself, I've worn my hair. Matter of fact, my hair is in my murder braids, that I call them that, from Cleo. Set it off. But I wore them in the office in my previous employer. And when I did that, I was pregnant with our second child, about 7 months. And they immediately said, oh my God, like, Kim, are you angry today?
What's wrong?
Well, technically I was angry that day because of some stuff that was going on at the job that I got rectified. However, I braided my hair like that on purpose to let them know I'm not playing today. Every way you take that, you take that. And matter of fact, I wore them braids to my baby shower that y'all told me to take my hair down.
Ooh, that was rough. That was rough.
It was.
So hair is a way that we end up as Black women not showing up authentically in the workplace. And some of us I would even say, so now we put on this facade to show up, to fit in. Do you think that if you showed up the way that you really wanted to wear your hair, it would cause you to not be taken seriously?
No.
Marla?
I would say no, because I wear my hair the way I choose. I wear my Afrocentric attire when I choose to.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I mean, I'm a Black woman. I'm a Black woman in an office of only. I am the only one. And so I come in with my flavor. That's my personality. That's my flavor. But I'm called Miss Sunshine because regardless of how I look and what I'm doing, no matter how I'm feeling, I'm coming in every morning with that smile on my face. Good morning. Hello. How are you? All the way to my desk in my office, and I'm good. But no, I mean, you feel threatened by the way I look, I can't do anything about that.
Tessie, so I had the same reaction. I'm relaxed. I've been relaxed for forever. But last year was the first time when we went to Dubai that I got my hair braided ever. Got to work on that Monday. They was like, It wasn't anything negative. It wasn't, oh, we've never seen your hair. It was like they was like, you've never worn braids. This was coming from black and white. Because I've never worn braids. But at the same time, no one I was never approached in a negative way. They was like, okay, I love it, but I'm not sure how my response would have been if my boss or anybody would have said they didn't like it. Because I have prided myself on being at my employer for 21 years that whatever I decide to wear, it's not based on who I am. Right. And I've never been approached in that way. So I don't know how. I know what my initial response would have been because they're going to get Tanya the way they get her. But I know it wouldn't have been a good response. I just know that for sure. So
we have some input from our Facebook friends. Tamara Minley Clinton says, I finally decided I didn't care what they thought anymore and got the locks.
Right.
And I think we have to get to that point. But then men, what are some things that you have to compromise to show up at work to be taken seriously? Because I know women, we're having to deal with different things when it comes to appearance and different things when it comes to hair, the different styles we wear, clothing wise. Men, let's hear from you all.
Well, I can tell you right now from a standpoint of someone who wears a uniform to work, as a man, a lot of that is negated for me. I mean, there's not a hair thing. There's not a clothing thing. As far as being myself at work, I am who I am, you know, and with me, and as stated somewhere before, I am the only African-American person at my job and have been for the last 18 and a half years.
How does that make you feel?
There are, well, I tell you, like, when I first started, there was a boulder that I felt on my shoulders.
Yeah.
What's this? Unpack that. What's the boulder?
I mean, you walk in as, you know, and a lot of us have probably felt it before, where you shouldn't have to feel this way, but you feel like a representative of your culture, of your race.
Yeah. You do.
You feel that way. Now, granted, there was a black secretary, but that was administrative. Whereas where I worked in the actual houses where I worked, I was the only black person, and it's different, you know.
And let's make clear that we're not downplaying any role. We are grateful for jobs, but you are in a leadership role
now. Yes.
Now, and still, do you feel that you're still carrying that weight, that boulder?
Of course, I still feel like, regardless of these people knowing me for 18 and a half years, I still feel a sense of being a representative of us, no matter what, when I go to work. Whether it's in the house, but especially when we leave the house and go out to the public. I feel like when I step off the truck, I'm stepping off as me, but I'm also stepping off as a black person representing us. You know, yes, I am in leadership, which is another thing, because on the flip of it, yeah, I'm showing myself to every other race, but then to our own race, when I step off that truck, I feel like I cannot step off in a negative light. I have to step off so that other people who see me say, there's one of us.
Right.
Look at him, be like him. Do as he does, try to be like that.
And that's a lot of weight. That's a lot of weight.
And then don't you feel that you're constantly on? Like you don't get a chance to
there is no off.
To show up.
There is no off.
There is no off.
Well, you know what? I don't feel that way. In my current employer, at this point, right now, at this hour, I have never felt like they did not accept me for exactly who I was as a woman of color. I think I have been well embraced at my employer. Never felt that at all. When I first started out in my career, yes, because I was like Sean, the only one on the whole unit. So that made a huge difference. But right now, I haven't had that feeling. So I can go in and just be Kim. You know, I can, you know, wear my hair however I want. No one says anything, you know. they mainly say, "Oh my gosh, like where are you going after work? Because you're so dressed up." That's pretty much about anything that they would say, but nothing negative at this time.
No, and trust me, I'm not going to say that when I started there was a negative orientation to it, but I think when we start somewhere as the first or the only, you walk in because of life and because of we're talking about Black lived experiences. Yeah. You walk in with a certain amount of yourself on guard. You know, you don't know
immediately.
Yeah. You don't know how many people you work with have worked with other African Americans or have even lived around other African Americans. Because I've had those conversations where they've come up to me and say, look, and I applaud these people. They come up to me and they're in all sincerity say, listen, I have never lived around Black people. I don't know. I would like to talk to you about whatever that issue was. And that's how we got it worked. That's how we worked it out. You know, do I go in now with the same boulder on my shoulders? No, because 18 and a half years, they know who I am.
They know who you are. Exactly.
Right.
Over time.
Right. They see me away from the job. We interact away from the job. They know my family. They know my kids. I know theirs. Right. It's different. I don't have that sense of being a representative all the time of our community.
But
don't get me wrong, it never leaves, but it's not as bad as it was.
Don't you feel like, and I'm asking the whole lot, don't you feel like you have to prove yourself first?
Oh, wait, before you go, wait before you go there.
Oh, ma'am.
Because that's going to unpack something totally different, which we want to go there, because remember I talked about earlier in the introduction about this whole idea of emotional tax.
Ken has
and yes, that's going to that. I know Brian's been trying to hop in. Brian,
so
go ahead.
I wanted to tie in what everybody said already about this and how people tie primarily. I know Brian's been trying to hop in. You articulate yourself, and the whole thing that Sean said about this boulder on your shoulder. But it also ties into, I'm sorry, the boulder on your shoulder and being kind of the only person that is employed at that location or for that company. Quite often when you do see someone else of color there and you articulate yourself a certain kind of way to position yourself, you have to, and this ties into what you just cut off, Nick, you have to prove yourself to your counterpart that I'm this other dynamic of person. Even though I conduct myself professionally this way, but when we in the kitchen and it's just you and me, a whole nother side, you begin to show, oh, you know about the hood, or you know about these other things. They're like, oh, you a real bro. It's like, wait a minute.
Right.
You know what I mean? You kind of have to, sometimes I've been put into positions because I conduct myself professionally and they think that I'm this other person. But my Black counterpart, once we get amongst each other and get to know each other, it's like, oh, you are a cool brother. You're not like a sellout, just, you know what I'm saying? And that's a whole nother dynamic within the workplace as it relates to conducting yourself a certain kind of way.
I only know how to be me. I only know how to be Tanya. I don't know how to shut it off and on. They get the good, the bad.
It's true.
And I know, but I understand. I just never had to switch it on and off. Right. They get nice Tanya, happy Tanya, angry Tanya. Everybody knows all these crazy Aquarius personalities at my job. They have for 21 years. I don't know how to shut it off. I really don't. When I'm talking to the president of the company or I'm talking to someone who's answering the phone call, everybody gets treated the same.
Now, I want to continue to hear from the Black men, though, who are our Black brothers. If you can weigh in, do you feel that you're having to show up to alter who you are, especially when it comes to getting promoted in the place? Like, I'm trying to layer it to hear from our brothers. Yates, Ken.
I'm gonna say this to go back to what not just to go back, but and what everybody else is talking about is having to deal with other races in the workforce, having to alter who you are. My thing is that I have a real serious problem with the fact of having to carry the mantle of I don't want to just say educated, because I can't speak to the education of the other individuals, the other Black individuals that's there, but to carry a mantle that I am the safe individual, because I work with a lot of individuals, Black individuals that conduct themselves like they still out on the street, and they outnumber us probably 50 to 1.
Well, what do you mean by safe?
Safe, meaning safe. There are individuals that just say, for instance, if you're in a group of Black people, a group of white people, you can pick out, if it's a group of white people and you look at their attitudes and things and you want to know who you could go to, you'll find that person who's a safe person that I can talk to that person and be able to say, hey, what's going on? Where we at right now? And they will say, without holding it against me being Black, without holding it against me of anything. Hey man, look, right now this ain't a good time. You need to whatever. But I'm taking it to that extreme. But yet and still, what I'm talking about being safe is that I'm the individual that the higher ups look to go out there and try to calm down what they consider people that look like me or my people. And see, I'm tired of trying to walk around every single day trying to show the higher ups that every Black person don't act this way. Yeah. And I have to turn around and try to preach like Moses to all these others, say, man, can y'all just get it together? You got an opportunity here. You yada yada this, and this, man. That's all it's gonna take. And they're like, man, you know what? Like Tanya say, I'm just me. I'm me. And I'm like, okay. So I'm that middle person that I don't have to walk that line, but yet and still, when my higher ups come, they want me to kind of smooth it over. And I'm like, well, hey, that ain't my job description. I can come that way and say that, but yet and still, if I say that does them, the other guys, no good. So I'm trying to help them and also calm them.
Yeah. So now you're serving in a capacity that you weren't even hired to do.
Exactly. And I mean, that is so tiresome.
Emotional taxing. Yeah.
And one of the reasons is that, and I see a way out of it, is to, if my people would get their little act together and just understand you're at work. At work, do the job and that is called for, and act like you at work. So,
but here's the thing. I am not going to be held accountable for anyone else that is of color acting upon.
I get it, but you be thrown in and be stereotyped.
I get what you're saying, and I do think what we're all saying is true, but it's also industry based, because some industries allow certain behaviors and other industries don't. So with Brian, his industry is way more professional than my industry.
Unpack on a professional.
So what I mean is, you all are like,
There's suits in your space. Suits. Yeah.
But the industry, and tell my colleague, girl, right here, and they like, right here, by Felicia, girl, and these people are of many shades of color. So I don't feel what you feel when you go into the office. Absolutely. But I respect how you feel. But for myself at this point in time, I don't have to feel so overwhelmed with, I have to represent, I have to do this right, I have to do, I don't have that feeling.
I have it every day that I go to work.
Every day.
So that's a burden. That is a huge burden.
Every day. Yeah. Only because it's only 3 of us in a building out of out of 80 people, out of 80, it's only 3 of us. And I am the only one of any type of supervisor position. So for me, the other 2 that are in there, that if they clown, they get loud, they get boisterous, they get anything like that, it's left upon me, because my boss will call me and say, is there anything that you can say to them to make them be quiet? Why are they so loud? What is going on? And then now I'm like, okay, let me go over. Hey, he wants to know why we're being so loud. I need you to calm it down just a little bit. It's a lot.
Okay.
So I can't be my joyful, loud self like I normally want to be at work. Unless they're being loud and boisterous, then I could be the same way with them. But if they're not and everything is on the level, no. I have to be on the level with everybody else.
Okay. Somebody has music in the background.
Somebody needs to go on mute because they have music in the background.
Yeah. Yates, I see you rocking. What input do you have to share?
It's crazy that all the black men that are on here, we pretty much share a lot of the same problems that we have to deal with on a daily basis. For me, by me wearing a badge and me being in the court system, I have to temper my reaction, my look, my walk, my daily duties of being a grown-ass black man. Simply because when I walk in, I'm an intimidating figure anyway, because by nature, I don't say much. I sit back, I observe what's going on. Anybody know me? Well, I'm at home now, it's a little bit more relaxed, but anything outside at work, my first nature is to sit back and assess what's going on. So other people of other races will look at me and be immediately intimidated simply because I'm quiet. And if I approach them, let me just say this. It's amazing how some of my coworkers will bring some of their kids in. And the first thing they say, well, Yates, hey, don't scare my child.
Oh, hell no.
What?
Oh, it happens all the time. But my reaction initially when I first started the court, because I just surpassed my 20th year, my reaction had to be tempered because I could not respond the way I really wanted to.
Right.
The unfortunate thing is that that's a part of life. It's a microcosm. What I got to deal with at work is a part of my life, because I cannot go out and be aggressive in my tone, my nature, my look, without having some major repercussions that I have to deal with in the long term. I have to really, really take a 10-second pause before I respond to certain things. And it's unfortunate. I carry a lot of burden of being a black man dealing with North City. Because on one hand, I get assigned a lot of the most combative situations with dealing with clients, schools. I get assigned those particular schools. I go in there and do well, make a change. But at the same time, I make that same change in other schools with other ethnic backgrounds, different languages, so on and so forth. So I'm across the board, but there's a tendency, because I'm the big, scary black man, I will get assigned those particular cases that are more combative. And I had to tell my supervisors, like, look, this is exhausting. I'm primarily in North City, but you assigning me stuff in South City, where I'm adding an extra 20 or 30 miles worth of riding around just because you don't want to deal with it, or any of my coworkers want to deal with it.
So they strategically are picking you out to deal with because you're the big, black, scary guy who can go and fix it.
Very much so. But here's the thing is that even somebody alluded to it earlier, it doesn't matter what I do, because I'm not going to always be recognized for what I do, because that's what I'm supposed to do. Even though I'm doing these diversity programs, I have my own little mentoring program. I do 5 or 6 other different things, but you let somebody else within our unit do something, they get immediate praise. Whereas for me, it's almost like that's what you're supposed to do. And that becomes extremely taxing, because every single day it's almost like I innately have to go improve my worth despite my experience, no write-ups, nothing major. I get dealt with all these different things, but they are still tugging on my coattails if you got to do more and more and more and more and more. Oh, okay, I give you a little kudos. Then you got to do more and more and more. And that becomes hard. It's really, really hard on a daily basis.
So let me hear from Mercedes. Being a Black man in the workplace, are you able to show up and be yourself? Are you having to deal with this emotional taxation and the coverings and the facades and the code switching and all of that? Tell us just a short little something about your experience.
I can tell you, so the major incident I can think of is, so with where I work, with the federal government downtown, I redesigned our entire workplace website. Did it all myself, my own software, coded it myself. I did all of that by myself, taught myself, and did it on my own laptop. But some people were wondering why I had a DVD going on separate next to me. You know, when you're working on projects, you put headphones on and you zone out.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't like the way I was doing it, not the product. They didn't like the way I was doing it. And they just wouldn't let me be free enough to do it the way that, I mean, everyone loved it. And so I just got fed up with it. And I remember I called Deshauna and she asked me 2 questions. She said, "Are they paying you extra for it?" I said, "No." "Will you lose your job if you don't do it?" I said, "No." She said, "Well, take it down." And so in the middle of the workday, I snatched the whole website down and took it back to the previous version, which wasn't updated or anything. And I do have to tell you, that was one of the most liberating experiences I ever had. It felt great to be able to say, you guys can't do me like this. And for the first time there, I had some power and it felt good. And it wasn't misused power, but it was the kind of power that says, you can't just do me any kind of way. And I'm helping you out and you're not paying me extra. You're not, you didn't train me for this. This isn't even my job. In my job description, I didn't ask for any money. I didn't ask for any awards. I just wanted to do it because I saw it was something that needed to be done because our intranet site was terrible. And when I took it down, it was funny. People came to me and asked me, "What happened? You took it?" And I explained it to them. And I got a whole lot of these from a whole lot of people because they were happy. My coworkers were happy that somebody was finally able to take management that mistreats us and do things of that nature, and finally able to say somebody was able to give it back to them. And they couldn't write me up for it. What were they going to do? And then the other thing is I remember I was, as a union steward, I was walking the hall doing something, and my manager came and said, "I want you to know somebody came and asked me, what were you doing?" Because I wasn't doing my regular job. I was on union duties. And they came to ask, what was I doing? Because they saw me walking in the hall. Mind you, I was going to the bathroom. But, I stopped a long time ago. I stopped trying to dictate how people treat me or what they think or how they act. Mm-hmm. My job is just to respond accordingly. And once you show me who you are and how you move, then I adjust how I move and what I do. And then, that's a you problem. That's between you and whoever your God is, but I'm good.
Thank you. Ladies, I'm gonna shift to you because we were talking about this whole idea of bringing yourself, and I know there's a couple things that I want to bring up, but I want to switch back to the ladies. And oftentimes, as the men were saying, you can't be yourself, you have this burden, you carry yourself. I know for myself personally, it has been it's very isolating, it's very confusing, it's very frustrating to have to show up being the only one, and then sometimes having to represent. But when you do want to say something or correct something of someone who may not be a person of color that are coming after you, oftentimes we are tagged as angry Black woman. And it's not so much that we are angry, we are passionate. And when we are passionate and you position us in a place to where we are able to speak and vocalize our passion about something, then we're dinged for it. But then I found if you don't say too much and you don't really show up vocally, now you're not engaged. You're not prepared. So it's like this crazy in between, like you're trying to figure it out. If one of you, somebody start, Marla, you raise your hand. Go ahead and start. How are we dealing with this?
So I kill people with kindness. That has been my trick in my trade.
We're sick of being kind. We're fed up
now. No, it's not. It's not a way of just saying being sick of being kind, because when you're kind to a person, you shut down all of that. My thing is never give a person a stage to be who they want to be. You take power and control over that situation. And that kindness part, that kills them. If you don't give them anything to feed off of, if they come at you with a comment or a remark to you, you just smile and say, really, is that how you feel today? Well, hopefully you're going to have a better day because I'm good. And you walk away from that, because if you stay and you're constantly.
But someday.
And I think, okay, because in my circle, because I'm kind of split, because I work for a couple of entities that culminate to one big situation. And with all of the entities that are tied in, I have different workforce situations in one place that, yeah, it's more me than it is of them. And then I have another place where it's only me. And but then the only me is always making sure that I'm reaching out and I am being the best person I can be, because there are people watching me and they are watching my attitude, and I'm responsible for trying to keep employee relations up. My responsibility sometimes is to walk around and save other people's jobs because you're upset and you can't handle it no more. So I'm there to stop you to say, not today. If today is a bad day, take a sick day. It's time for you to just call it a day. Let them know you're not feeling well. Come back, because unfortunately you still need this job and you need to come back tomorrow to it. So let's figure out a better way to do that. Then I like to sit down and I like to coach and mentor. So at that point, I take the opportunity to speak to that individual and let's find out what the problem is. How are you going to present this to your manager and your supervisor to get this corrected? Because we want to go in so hot-headed sometimes and we're not thinking when we go in because we're in the heat of the moment. I just want them to step back from the moment. I want them to write out what they need to do. And then I try to give them some solutions and other opportunities. So when they present that problem, they already have a solution to it. So we're not just going to go and say, this ain't working today. She didn't do this. And when I came in, they got on me about being late and I got rolled up, but then they came in. Stop looking at other people. Let's talk about you. What are we going to do to advance you? How can we get you to the next level? So, yeah, I take in stride that if there is anything around me, I'm a happy-go-lucky person. They're not going to steal my joy. Not that day or any other day. So being in different fields, working in television for 25 years, yeah, I was always the only Black female that was there working with a ton of men. And then I had to learn how to leverage that. You could be the only female working in this process, but how do I leverage that situation? So yeah, I did what I needed to do to show that I could be one of the boys and I could do my job. But when I got my respect, I was able to step back and they're like, we got that. You ain't got to carry that. We got that for you. Just get up there and you can hook it up and run it when you get there. So sometimes it's about working your way up to get the respect level that you want, because you can't go in all willy-nilly and say, oh, I'm gonna be that. But once you get the respect, and when people respect you, because my mother told us a long time ago, a lot of people are not gonna like you, but they will respect you if you do the job that you're supposed to do. That's all you ask for. Respect me for the job that I do. You don't have to like me, because I got friends. I got a whole family right here. So I don't need to go to work to have a friend. I need to go to work to do my job. So when I do my job, I only ask for my respect.
Erica's hand was up, and then Kim.
When I was at a previous employer, I was the only Black project manager there. So I agreed with Sean and everybody but carrying the boulder, and I always had to be on my guard, dressed to the nines. They would come in, be in any kind of way. I would have to come in prim and proper. They was, Friday casual, and I would always have, and it got to a point that I felt like I was carrying it. I always had to prove myself, even though my clients liked me, they requested for me to be on certain teams. I always had to prove myself, and it got to be tiring. And then when the time came when our company was brought over, I was the first person they laid off. And in that time, I realized that no matter how hard I worked, I was always going to have to prove myself. And no matter how good I was, that I was always seen as that little black girl. So when I got my new job and got a supervisory position, I kind of, as I got older, I kind of took the mentality is I don't really care now. I in that previous job, I held my tongue. I kind of was just like, okay, sure, no problem. I'll take care of that. No problem. I'll take care of that. Now, I don't go that way because it was taxing. It was emotionally draining. And I felt like I didn't get ahead in any kind of way in that job. Now that I'm in a supervisory position and I have to lead people, I'm like, bring it here a second. Come here. This is how this gonna be. Because they're looking at me. I have to make sure you're on point. Because if you're not on point, I have to be, they're gonna question me about why you're not doing what you need to do. So I need to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't hold punches anymore. If someone comes to me about a situation, I tell them what it is. I tell them with a smile. I'm not all head rolling and all this, but I ask the Lord to give me the words so they understand what I'm saying in a professional manner, that when I walk away from them, they know exactly what I meant, and I meant what I said. But all those years of being that yes girl didn't give me nowhere but a bunch of frequent flyer miles to go travel around the world, and that's it. It didn't get me that happiness that I was looking for. And so now I don't take that no more. I don't care who you are. You a VP of a company, you whoever. I'm a woman, you a woman, you a man. We're gonna talk to each other as equals. Look, I didn't like what you said.
Right.
Because I've had to do that on one person. I didn't even know who he was, but he came to me about some stuff. I was like, can we have a conversation just for a second? And I recounted the conversation that we had, and he was like, oh, that's not what I meant. I said, well, that's what I took. So you need to watch how you conversate when you're sitting in a room full of all different races and ethnicities. You need to watch how you talk to people. I said, because if I felt that way, I can assure you there are other people that felt it. Oh, Erica, that's not what I meant. And I apologize. I thank you for your apology, but you might need to watch how you talk. Now I'm too old for all that. Him and I hawing and maybe I shoulda, woulda, coulda. I just say what I say, and hopefully the Lord give me the right words to say when I say it, and they understand what I'm saying, because it's not worth it to be like, well, that it's not worth it anymore.
Yeah. I know you bring up a good point about intent versus impact.
Yeah.
We talk about people, they may intend to do something, but the impact is negative.
Right.
Kim, go right ahead.
Okay, so just this week, for those that may not know, my own spouse was going through some things on his job, and I'm not gonna go into major detail, but one thing I looked upon in the word, and it says, he who walks in integrity walks securely, but he who perverts his ways will become known. And that's Proverbs 10:9. So everybody on this chat, in our family, I don't know about your Facebook buddies, but in our family, we are believers of the word, number one. And so we all move and have our being through Christ. And so sometimes, and Kenny and I have mentioned this before, in this family, I can't speak of others, we have been a family of excellence amongst each other, okay? Starting with grandparents, expecting us to behave a certain way, speak a certain way, do certain things, and then also strive for greatness. Not saying that we're perfect, but just strive for greatness, not just on the job, but in our day-to-day lives, even how we go to the grocery store, or how we manage our homes, or even how we cut our grass, for God's sake. We do that with pride. And so sometimes I think we absorb too much of what is said and done on the outside, because we need to always remember, who are we serving?
Mm-hmm.
Are we serving a corporation, Are we serving the VP or are we serving Christ in this situation? And so at the end of the day, I guess I'm like my sister-in-law now, because I've come to realize I'm not going to overexert myself. I always tell people when I die, my obituary will say that I am saved and that I was a damn good mom and wife. I don't care what I did as far as my occupation, well, whatever. I want God to look at me and say, servant, well done for what you've done in your home. Because at the end of the day, this is what matters. You know, you can die on your job right now. They will send your family a plant and your replacement will be there in 2 seconds. But when you go, and I love that song by Beyonce, I Was Here. Like, what did you do for your own life to leave some kind of a footprint, a positive footprint for either your family, your friend, your children? We all got kids on this line. You know what I'm saying? So we live our lives to work in integrity. But like I told Brian, sometimes the employer can see your work of excellence and integrity and misuse it and abuse it. And they want more and more and more and more. And you're like, my God, how much more can I give? I've given everything that I have, and then you're not getting anything back in return. So you must ask yourself, what am I giving so much for? And what am I giving my power to? I'm going to be exhausted in my home for serving my home, but not being my employer.
So I have a question, because you brought up something that's pretty interesting, is this whole concept, and I'm guilty of it as well, when we talk about being able to be in this place of excellence in every area of our lives. And I believe all of us on this line have lived in a space where you're working towards and working out excellence in your life. Do you think that our upbringing, and I'm just throwing this out there here because I'm looking at some of the comments, but do you think this whole concept and this upbringing in a space of excellence, in a cultural space where we had to work double as hard to get, you know, if you want to go out there and make it and you want to live a good life and have the fence and the house on the hill and all that, you've got to put in the work. Do you think that has tripped us up as a people of color?
Not for this family, no.
No.
Okay, who else?
No.
Who else wants to jump in?
Yeah.
I think that our culture has grown up in a sense that we've always known that we've had to work harder to achieve excellence. And by born into luck, all of us, most of us, all of us, whatever, we had the foundation to springboard off into who we are today. You know, I look at this, you know, this screen, and I see the faces of my family and say that for all I know, we all came from households that pushed us to do great. You know, for the rest of Black culture, we have those households like ours. We also have the households that had, you know, the unfortunate downtrodden single parent, and they have kids that have come out of there that have done amazing things far greater than I will ever do. You know, but we have to look at the ones who haven't been able to do what we do. You know, we have to look at the fact that, you know, are they still trying? Do they still, or have they not been able to overcome their insurmountable odds they were given, and look at it from that standpoint and do better that way.
Yeah. J-Rock, I see you. Come on.
My problem with this is this. We all strive to be excellent. I have no problem with that. The problem I have with our culture is some of the things that we step on, how we step on other people to get there. And then once we get there, we don't bring other people along with us. That's my biggest problem with the whole Black culture in general. Just like what you guys were talking about before, I work for a predominantly Black organization. And even working for a Black organization, when I got promoted as director, my CEO point blank told me, you got to carry yourself in a totally different manner. But I want you to be you, trying to figure out what that means. I can be me, but understand that I got federal funders that are white. I got, we work with the DOJ, we work with the Department of Labor. It's certain things I want you to be you, but you still got to be cautious with being you. But you want me to be excellent at who I am, and who I am is who I am. But it's funny, as we be excellent in the things that we do, whether I'll even look at coaching, as we go up, it's funny how we get to these positions and we forgot how we got there because we're so happy we got there and we're stepping on people underneath us. That's my biggest problem with our culture. We get there and we're not bringing people along. I don't care if they ghetto. I don't care if they don't have your education. Bring somebody else along and bring them through the same trials and tribulations that you've been through so that everybody can be excellent. We have a culture right now, it's all about me. I got my degree, I got my house, I, and them. You was just them a couple of weeks ago. You was just them a couple of weeks ago. You was just able to be able to move them out of the ghetto and get your place down. But all of a sudden we forget because all of a sudden we are able to do something different and we look at our people totally different. That's my problem with the whole idea of us. I'm proud of our Black culture, but in the same token, we have forgotten the basis of bringing each other along, and this crab and barrel mentality is still affecting our community.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know there was...
Let me go back to what they were saying.
Okay,
I'm just going to go back to what you're saying about, you know, this picture that we have in front of us of our family and the lessons that were taught at an early age. And it was a standard set. And I think that's where we lose out in our culture right now. That standard is not there anymore. You know, I think everybody on this panel could say they literally fear their parents, literally fear them, whether they still hear or not. You could still hear that voice in your head for those that have gone on. My parents are no longer here, but I can hear Dorothy and I can hear James from time to time when it's time for me to step up and do something, when I want to be lax on something. And they're like, I'm like, no. My mom said, if you decided to take this challenge, you're going to do the best at it that you can. So we're not going to half step it because you shouldn't have took it if that's not what you were going to do. So standards were set and we were pushed to stay with those standards. And nowadays we don't have those standards. We are losing them and we don't have anyone pushing us. For what Jared says, you know, each one should teach one. Mentoring is very important. And you don't have to have a credential to mentor. You don't have to have a Bible to mentor. You don't have to have a position to mentor. It takes a moment to stop, to help somebody. And like you said, you got to stop and help somebody. Somebody helped you. So, you know, we all have to stop and help somebody. And that's why I was telling you back when I spoke on my job. When someone comes wrong at me, I don't have time to stop and lose myself over there. I walk away and say, hi, okay, you have a great day, and walk away. I shut that down, but I go find the next person I can help. That's why I'm like, before you walk away and lose your job, let's do something about that. We got to stop because some people just don't know, and you got to help them out. And if you think you have it, and like my niece said earlier, we have a word in us. Use that word, let your light so shine that you can draw some people. And you have to have a light first, because if you walk around in darkness, all hated up and all muscled up and ready to explode, then you can't help anyone, you know. And I understand times are tough, and I understand every day it's not a good day. Trust me, no matter how sunny I want to be, every day it's not a good day. But when that day ain't good, that's when you go back and you pray and you say, okay, Lord, I'm gonna need you all the way through this day. From the time I put my foot on this floor till I get back into my home, to work with me, because I need to be a better person today. So yeah, I know some days I fall short every day, but those moments that I fall short in, I got to stop and try to pull this stuff together. So if that's pressure on me so I can be better, I mean, I was brought up that way. I don't have the time to, you know, I couldn't walk around with my face down, torn up and pouting. I'm just mad at everybody. Because then your parents looking at you talking about, well, what's all of that about? And then go somewhere because I don't want to see that. Until you can get it together, come back out and be the child that I want you to be. So we got to start doing that again. Because right now we can walk around and we swole all day long and we just add more wood to the fire until we blow up. And then it's not good to blow up all the time because we miss out on some things.
And what you got?
Oh, and I hear what you're saying. And I agree with what you're saying, but I'm going to shift this a little bit, and we're going to talk about, for the next part, what are some things that that could be put in place in the workplace to make things a little more, to make you feel more comfortable, to make you feel more appreciated, more celebrated. But let me set this up, because I watched the memorial service for George Floyd, and Reverend Al Sharpton did the eulogy. And there was one point that he mentioned, and it just resonated with me, and it really stung, where he says that we could have and haven't been able to show how awesome we are because you've had your knee on our necks. We could have run corporations and not hustled in the streets, but you've had your knee on our necks. Black people had and continue to have knees on their necks to progress. And that resonated so much with me because while, yes, we can go in praying, we can go in, and I'm a prayer, I am truly one that stands on the word, but there are roadblocks and barriers that keep us from fulfilling our calls when we show up in the workplace. What are some things that could be in place from your experience that could release the pressure, actually remove the pressure? Because someone is listening and they're like, okay, we've heard these experiences, but now what are some expectations? Tessie.
I was just saying, I think where it begins and how it can change, most, and everybody, we talked about it on our family chat line, how now after the George Floyd incident occurred, how now all of the corporate America and businesses and presidents are sending out these, oh, we're sorry, we need to change how things are, we need to do XYZ, we need to start to do this change now. I think for me, it kind of upsets me that it has to take that, it upsets me that it got to take this
to happen.
Correct. Mm-hmm. It's been happening for so long that everybody has turned a blind eye. We've had this conversation in school, by the way, when I was working this past week. And I'm the only one in there of color. Everybody else is not. And we've had this conversation. And one person asked me in regards to why is it that we will go out and protest for this man's death, but we won't protest for black on black crime, black on black shooting. And I'm gonna say, he asked me to ask that question tonight because he says, I've asked this question and I can never get an answer.
The easy answer.
So he says, I can never get an answer. And I said, I said, he says, do you mind asking it? I said, as long as you chime in, I want you to hear me ask your question. He says, I have no problems in doing so. But my answer to that question is that we should be doing it, regardless of, because it's not, I think it's not going to stop just because it's a white on black thing. It's a white on black, it's a black on black, it's a everybody problem when it comes to black people. It's not just the white people that's bringing us down, and people can feel how they want to feel on this. I feel like it's us as well that's bringing us down. We can't get ahead in life, not only by the white people, but we can't get ahead in life with each other.
Thank you.
Right. And if we can't come together as a race,
who gives a damn about us?
Nobody's gonna care about what we got going on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ain't gonna happen.
I don't care if I can go out here and protest every single day of my life for every black killing out there. But if we don't all come together as one and see it as a crime, not only just because a white man killed a black man, but also these young black men out here killing these black men and young ladies and kids and everybody else out here in the streets and not caring about anybody else, they're still not going to care. They're still going to look at us thugs, as criminals, as all of this out there in the streets.
I agree. Yeah. The protest is directly to the abuse of power.
But it needs to also be abuse of everything.
And I hear what you're saying, but at this point, because a lot of the things that we could have, we don't have because it's been taken. We don't even have access. Listen. So when you have someone who has nothing?
Nope. See,
but wait a minute. That video that Ryan shared with us yesterday with that young lady, that he shared on our personal chat with that young lady talking about how this has been going on. Her words, the way she put it, it made you think.
But it does, Michelle, but you also got to think about it. But if we don't change within ourselves, nothing's going to change.
We don't have a lot of stuff because we doing it right now. We destroying our own neighborhoods and we turn them down. So when they go back to try to look at the neighborhoods and the mom and pop stores that were there, they can't afford to put those mom and pop stores there again. So then you tell me, well, we ain't got no place to go buy groceries. You know why? Because y'all done just burned it down. So now y'all got to go clear out of y'all neighborhood to get a bag of hamburger meat. That's why we don't have anything, because we turn our own stuff down. How can you turn your own stuff down and then go, well, we don't have nothing? Well, stop turning your stuff down and you'll have something. You'll have something in your own neighborhood.
We're not going to tear down anything outside of their own neighborhood because...
Stop complaining about not having nothing.
Here's the thing. When people riot, they're going to riot where they can riot and then run. They're not going to riot out in West County because then they have to try to get back to their home.
Metro Link don't go out there.
but
Uber do. I'm not saying it's right that we ride in our own neighborhood, because personally, I don't agree with burning down.
Right.
I don't agree with vandalism in the name of protest. I don't agree with it. You know, I understand that we want to be heard, and I want to be heard. We all want to be heard, but as we're seeing more and more, our protests are hijacked by the ones who just want anarchy. Okay?
Yes.
Yep.
So the whole burn down our neighborhood, we react. Yes, we react, but we're reacting to maybe because other cultures are in our neighborhoods. But but at the same time, we're still burning down the black-owned business.
Tanya's next.
Can I say something real quick?
Tanya.
I want to go back to Nick, your initial question about what are we doing with the communications that our companies are now have sent out. We've never at my company had a communication sent out until this week. With everything that we've witnessed in these last couple of years, we've never had a communication sent out. I thought that was interesting on one hand, and I think good on the other. But then I thought to myself, so we had this one communication that went out for one day in 2020. That's not coronavirus related. So what are we doing next? So my ideal is I am going to contact our head of HR, because I think we need a diversity program set up.
You have nothing at your company.
We have nothing. And we have a melting pot of ethnicities at my job. So I reached out to one of my closest friends who runs her diversity program. I was like, hey, I am going to send out and I think I'm going to send it to our president and our lead HR person, because you talked about diversity in this email communication. But what are we doing for diversity in the company? All of our senior executives, well, our president is a woman, all of our senior executives are men. We have maybe 4 women senior VPs, maybe, and that's it. There's no person of color.
And you're global.
And we are a global business.
Mine.
So
I'm gonna say next.
Yeah. So that's what my next plan of action is, because I think that we need it coming from everywhere.
Coming out, they celebrate.
But I'm gonna say, I think that the only issue that I'm having with that, Tanya, is that will it last?
It never does.
Exactly.
It's not
It
going
never
to
does.
last. It's for the moment right now.
Everything's
They're
a
going
moment.
to say what they need to say to keep everybody
This is why
calm.
you have to have someone internal within a corporation. That was the role I had.
That was your role, exactly.
If you have someone internal, and that's why I'm an advocate, every company needs to have a chief diversity officer reporting to the president or
Daily.
CEO, not to HR. Because if not, it is a box check.
Yep.
But the issue is that they do have those types of people, but they're not people. They're not our people.
We don't have those type of people.
So it's not like they have a Jamal or a Quintessa or a Shaniqua or a,
why does it have
on
to
that
be
border
that?
diversity. They'll have, oh, well, I'll do diversity.
It goes
and
beyond
they're
the
not
color.
100% diverse.
Yeah, but diversity goes beyond the color too.
Right.
It's
That's something
way
like
beyond that.
I know, but you got to understand the people that are behind that. They got to fully understand what diversity means. Not
Some
just
of us
because
as
they want
blacks don't know what it means though sometimes.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Everybody needs to fully understand what how to be diverse and what the word diversity actually means. Not just saying, oh, we're going to make our company diverse. No, the true meaning of diversity. You need to understand when you say you're going to make your company diverse, it's not just saying I'm going to have a token black person being a CEO and I'm going to have a black person doing this or a person of color doing this or a person of color doing that. It needs to be more than that.
But this is why you have to have someone again internal, because yes, we're talking about diversity. It goes way past diversity, because then if you can, there's a analogy that's called Noah's Ark, and this is where companies will get 2 of these, 2 of those, and 2 of those. And this Noah's Ark approach is where they have been failing, because they have to understand you can bring in 2 of a whole bunch of stuff, but if the culture is not conducive for the success of those those pairs, it crumbles and it actually backfires even worse. Marseille, you were going to say something. Go ahead.
I think when you ask the question, what do we do? Almost a what do we do now with this? I think one of the first things we have to do as black people is be comfortable in our blackness. And stop seeking to be validated by others.
I agree with that.
That's number one. Be unapologetic when and that doesn't mean be rude or crude, but be who you are. Be unapologetic. Don't seek to be. Your validation doesn't come from. I'll give, like with my kids. My kids, their validation comes from mommy and daddy.
Right.
It doesn't come from the school. It doesn't come from their students. And I always talk to, especially my daughter being in high school, I talk to her about her hair. It's like, look, you don't have to put heat on this and make it straight. Let that junk fro up and stroll in school and let them know, because they want what you have, right? So I just, I say, I'm just honest. Hey, they hang out in the sun because they want to look like you. It just is what it is. And then the other thing that I think we have to do is when you were talking about the corporate America finally saying something, well, I'll be honest with you, I'm past the people saying stuff and making statements, which is why I didn't write anything on Facebook. It doesn't mean anything. It's hollow to me. I'll give you a prime example. This is where it starts. We as people have to do our research. Everyone has one of these, a cell phone. How many of us have heard of Figures Communications? Figures Communications is a black-owned cell phone company that has towers all over the country. How many of us have heard of True Detergent?
Hmm?
I ordered some of their detergent and it was better than Tide. The point being is that's where it starts in our homes, teaching us on how we support each other, making personal decisions as head of households and head of where we lay our heads and say, I make a choice to go put my dollar here. I make a choice to go put my dollar here. And before I go run and get, I got Metro PCS or AT&T or whatever, I'm going to go check them out. Before I go get Tide or get whatever, I'm going to check them out. Now, here's the flip side to this. When you do that, what our issue is, and I can only be personal about it, when it seems sometimes when our people find out that we're trying to do something, they give you what you know about that dude. You ain't nobody. Why you doing that? They give that look. When in reality, it should be, hey, let me try you out and support you. And if it doesn't work, then I'll adjust. But we're quick to give the side eye to our own people that are trying to do things legit and are experts in what they do, whether it's coaching, whether it's restaurateur or real estate agent or anything like that. And that's where it starts. It starts in the home. It's not about these cute hashtags. Hashtag spend your dollar where all your hashtags are coming from, and you'll be all right.
Okay, and then but back to the question. Let me keep us back on track. What are the expectations in the workplace? What can your bosses, your supervisors, your presidents, CEOs, what can your coworkers, what can they do to make it a more inclusive, more equitable?
They gotta see it. They gotta see it first. A lot of them don't even see it as an issue.
But I'm just asking, what would you want?
See me as a Black woman. Don't tell me that you're colorblind, that you don't see color. Nope. Because you cannot tell me you don't see color when you see me.
Because you don't see me if you don't see the color.
Exactly.
Right?
See me as a Black woman.
Because I'm trying to get
respect me.
I have a number of people who are on, and they want to know, like, what are the expectations? And I had asked another group this, and they weren't able to answer it. We're wanting things, and we're wanting to have equitable. You want to have this.
I'm gonna tell you why it's hard to answer that question, Nikki.
Because
we've never had to answer anything like that. Because the only thing we've ever wanted to do is be. The only thing that we've ever wanted, and I said this to Eltwan last night, was that all we've ever wanted in our entire lives, from the beginning, from slavery all the way till now, is one, to be seen and to be heard and to be equal to everybody else. We've never asked for anything more than to be those things.
Let's be fair.
That's it. If they can do those things, then we could be fine. But they can't.
You don't see yourself. You're not even being yourself at work. So how the heck you expect somebody else to see you?
But my thing is
yourself first.
But if I be myself, which is fine.
But see, the problem is that you won't be yourself. Right, you won't be yourself because of fear. If you do be yourself, that may be the last day you be there.
The
problem is that nobody wants to put themselves out on the line to be the first individuals to brainstorm and barnstorm this thing into existence. We keep dealing with birth pains and never push the baby out. That's the problem I have with all this crap.
I've been taking little baby steps, trying to slowly get myself together.
We never get past 2 weeks of trying to get in the next week and a half. We're not even gonna look at this man no more, and the protesting is gonna turn a whole different direction. All this stuff we talking about is gonna be worthless. Like Michael Brown, they did all that. What happened? 2 weeks later, we went right back to the same BS that we was doing. This is the culture that all keep talking about in Black people.
That's because we're living for the moment.
That's it. No, it ain't about living for the moment. We're trying to introduce this change that everybody on the panel has been talking about. We will never be able to achieve that for one reason. Everybody has a different goal and a different problem that we're facing at work. So I mean, if we want this particular program to come on, this particular whatever. Let's look at, and I've been writing stuff down on here, and what I've been looking at is because it was something that y'all said in the back, and I looked, and the first thing that came to my mind was Black Wall Street. We was talking about how we had all these roadblocks, and they keeping us down, they're holding us back, but how did these people achieve this?
Yes.
How did they went out and did it? They didn't sit back and say, we can't. We got this on our neck. We have this little thing. They went and did it. We got to stop giving excuses and go out and do it. We got ignorant people in our race. Let's agree on that. Let's look at it. Let's grab them and hold them. And then we got to do something about it.
The key word, though.
Keep saying we got to have a program. Damn, okay, get the program. Make the shit work. Excuse my French, but I mean, I'm to a point where I'm just so sick of hearing about what we need to do. We never do anything.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I was trying to say earlier. In terms of everybody on this chat and this family is affluent. We are not suffering by any means. We got people on here with 5, 6, 7 degrees, so they sell master's degrees, a PhD person on here. So we've got a variety of education. Again, it goes back to we can't pick the families that we're born into. We can't pick the social economic status that we're born into. But what I will say is this, and Kenny and I say this all the time. Our grandparents may not have had a lot. They had a lot of children, but one thing that they had was God, they had love, and they had instruction. And I feel that some of these families, whether you are a 2-parent family, or 1-parent family, or 2 alien families, what you need to start doing is start at home and teaching your families, like Sean was saying, or somebody said, we need to get that self-value back into ourselves, but it's gotta start at home. Because none of us on here agree with rioting and burning down homes or anything like that. We don't agree with it. We've made that very clear. But at the end of the day, like Kenny said, there is a population of people of color that wants to hook up at all times. They don't want to go to college. They don't want to put the work in. They don't want to go to work. No offense to my sisters on here, please understand. When I took Brooke to dance class and the chick, no lie, had a fresh head of weave, fresh nails, brand new outfit, and complained about a $50 uniform or little dance outfit for her daughter. And I'm looking at her like, are you serious? I can count on your body right now at least $5 grand right there. So that starts a problem with the mother. Because my thing is this, as a mom, and y'all all know, I will braid them babies' heads for 4, 5, 6 hours, and mine will be slicked back in a ponytail. I'm putting value into my children. Now I want them to look good, but I'm making sure that their little self-esteem is on point. That's what I'm saying when I say, get back to wanting to. No, don't shut me up.
I ain't shut you up. I'm saying, okay.
I'm going to wrap you up. Only because I'm bringing you back to the workplace.
Can I say
this is a great point, but we focused on
Can I say this about the workplace?
Workplace.
Why is it that in the workplace, and I mean me, and this is my experiences, how can I expect someone that doesn't feel what I feel or see what I see to understand where I'm coming from?
You cannot.
And I think in the workplace, that's the biggest mistake. We hold people to a standard that's not possible.
Exactly.
In my home, I don't know what it's like to be a mother. Just like Deshauna does not know what it's like to be a father.
Right.
In the workplace, I can't expect those that do not come from where I come from or have the shared experience to feel what I feel. So I think we put a standard on them that's impossible for them to attain. They can't. Now what they can do, all they can do is listen and take our educated advice. And one of the problems is in the workplace, we act out of emotion a lot of times. We get really emotional instead of being practical and saying, hey, look, this. That's you can't come to it emotional. Send it in an email, follow the channels so that you protect yourself. And then you can say, I did this, I did this, I told you this, and you can't be emotional. But I'm gonna say it again. Why are we disappointed when those that don't come from where we come from don't get it? That's human nature.
Thank you.
I know I used to say that, doing the diversity and inclusion work, that we had to show people of color, we need to show up with a little more grace, because if you're talking about a group of people who you don't even have to, you can decide to never engage with a person of color and be successful and do whatever you need to do. But until I begin to talk to you or engage with you, and that's why I tell people, you can't do this work. You can sit in a training all day, but until you put people with people and you have to face me and talk to me and engage with me, that's where some work and some change can happen.
Yeah, I don't agree.
I don't agree.
I'm gonna tell you why I don't agree. Because these are grown people. They live their lives. They've been raised a certain way, and you're not going to change their mind no other kind of way.
Thank you.
It is who they are, who they are.
I believe you, but I believe people can change.
But I'm still saying this. But I still say this: you have the power to get people to respect you. You have that power.
They don't have. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
Because they will. If they don't respect you, they still won't respect you. If they don't look at you in that type of light ever, they still. I don't care. You can be out there, be the best person, smiling all day long, being the happiest person on earth. It don't matter if they don't give a doggone about you. They're still not going to care about you. They're not going to respect who you are and what you do. It doesn't matter. I sit back and I'm telling you, I look at it every single day, and I look at it heartfully every single day, because I'm telling you, it's hard. And I can't sit back and tell people every day. I walk in there and I'm smiling, and the day that I'm not happy, the first thing they say is, "Ooh, don't say nothing to Miss Tess, because she's not in a good mood, because she's gonna be like Miss Terry, or she's gonna be doing this." I don't have time for that.
But we do that to each other.
With other people, just because you can have an attitude and come to me all crazy, but when I come back at you the same way, now you want to go run to my boss and say something about me? No.
I'm not going to hold them accountable until we hold ourselves accountable.
Amen.
I cannot do that. Amen. I cannot expect for them to feel the same way about me that I feel about them.
You can't get your change.
You look for a person to validate you. You're looking for a company to validate you. You went to that company. I'm going to go back to what he said. We walk around with these wonderful smartphones, and before you accept the job, research the job. I understand it's going to have its ups and its downs, but you are put there for a purpose. And that purpose is not just to do the job, but if that's the job, the purpose God gave you, you're going to make some changes. You're going to be the person you're supposed to be, and you're going to make the changes, and the respect will come. I got some years over you.
Won't always, and I agree with that, because you're not going to always see the outcome. But like they say, sometimes you're there to plant, sometimes you're there to water. Increase. At the same time, I believe,
and teach somebody else. It ain't about just making sure your day is happy. You gotta still be there for the next person.
But I'm saying there is nothing in the workplace.
You might be the George Floyd. You might be the George Floyd to be the catalyst. To this man didn't think he had to lead and in his life to be that situation. To now almost be a Christ-like figure to raise a resurrection to make black people stand.
But it ain't bringing us no closer together.
We don't know
It ain't.
It's not bringing us no closer together. We want to change white. Excuse me, I'm gonna say we always want to change white people, but we ain't changing our own actions. We want to make them understand us, and we don't understand each other. They supposed to support us, but we don't support each other. Everything
Exactly.
we want them to do, we don't do a damn thing for each other.
Exactly.
So how the hell somebody gonna respect me and you don't respect me?
So I have a comment from Brian. Come on, Brian.
So all this talk from Nicole's original question, what are the actionable items that we can put in place? One that I can say specific, into which I gave today in my exit interview, was that we can ask that they put recruiting practices to put money in some of these brothers and sisters' pockets out here. Now, how does that relate to what's going on in the social economic background when they burning down stuff? If they working and they bringing home some money, guess what? They ain't looting and booting and burning down stuff. They got money and they can rationalize, make good decisions, and not have to do that and think more like where we at now. We're like, okay, you know, I understand it's wrong,
but they gotta put the work
but
in.
you got, okay, once they put the work in, that's fine. But she asked specifically, what can we ask for from these corporations? Why we got their attention? What's the actionable items?
And that's
I'm like, okay, what's up with your recruiting practice? Well, we don't have nothing in place right now.
But
Let me say this, is that, and I'm gonna say this. You let me put it like this. How many times have you went into a predominantly white neighborhood and you said they don't have this store where I stay? All the time. And we drive further out to go to certain stores, go to certain restaurants, go to certain events, because they're not in our area. Want to know why? Easy. We do not. One, we don't patronize those stores. Nope. Secondly, we don't act like we got sense when we go to those particular events. And thirdly, they don't want to risk the chance of coming to our area, not getting ticket sales, because they know fights may break out, this and all these other little cliches that I hear at work at the concerts and stuff. They just do not want to put money where there is no return on their dollar.
They kill it.
And black folks are synonymous for not giving a good return. So the thing is that we keep saying corporations pour money into this. We got to get out of that mess about trying to go to them to ask for money. That's why I brought up Black Wall Street. When are we going to achieve our own and be able to give to our own? You keep saying we need to bring another one. No, we need to have our own banks. Yes. We need to have our own corporations where we can hire within our own. And
support them.
Right, but the problem is this. Just like when I was in Rankin, they brought a whole bus load of kids from Beaumont to take the test to get into school. They had the money set aside for them to go for free. Nobody passed the entrance exam. Nobody. So the problem, it ain't the fact that we are the ones failing. These kids don't want to go. They don't want to learn. They're not trying to learn. It ain't the system that's failing them. They failing them their own self.
Exactly. I absolutely disagree.
I'm gonna bring somebody along.
Let
me say this.
That don't want to be taught.
Then I'm blaming the teachers. Then I'm gonna blame them on the parents.
No, Jared. You know. No, even the Bible tells everybody cannot go.
You gotta put that fire under your own kids, baby.
Okay, wait.
I'm sorry to tell you.
This ride is not for everybody.
Hold on. Okay. Yates, go right ahead.
So here's where I disagree. A lot of these kids want to learn. But let's go back 10 years. When these charter schools, Mayor Francis Slade said, before I leave office, what I'm gonna do is try to get 31 charter schools. Yep. So what he started doing was closing all of these neighborhood schools where you had neighborhood teachers, neighborhood counselors, parents, uncles, aunts, everybody lived in one particular neighborhood. So if you start closing particular schools, what will happen is you got to start busing them to these other schools in a totally different neighborhood where you might have conflict. I'm in these schools on a daily basis. That's Beaumont, where Beaumont used to be Beaumont, Vashon, high schools, middle schools, elementary. These kids want to learn. But if you don't have the resources to teach these kids, and you start taking a lot of these, what they call them, the Teach for America. You got Teach for America teachers come in, have no cultural experience. They go and teach these kids. They don't know how to deal with these kids. And you put them in a system that is already failing, and then you have people who are not vested to teach these kids. You are asked out because none of these kids are going to learn. I also say this, let me say this one last thing. What irritates me is that everybody says we need to patronize our own businesses. Well, hell, the businesses are not going into these inner cities. Because if you can go to North St. Louis, in a 1 mile radius, you will see 50 stores. Not one of us own them. You know why? Nope. They're not giving the business money. They're not giving the grants. They're not giving any of those things. So you can't patronize something that is not there, because even when it is there, let's also be mindful too. Not all Black kids are burning down these damn schools or burning down these buildings. Sometimes that's intentional. And who's going to get blamed for it? Us. I would say, and one last thing too. I'm in the system. I'm in the courts. I hear what people say. A lot of folks don't give a damn about these inner city kids. And all this is a money grab, because what they are bringing is just like Teach for America, these charter schools, all these different entities that are coming in, grant funded, mind you. They're not paying us. They're paying the other cultures to come in and teach us. If there's no vested interest to benefit us in the long run, we're not going to be successful at all. So we need to stop, and I totally agree, we need to work on us. I tell parents and parents all the time, a lot of these parents don't have a clue what is out there. Hell, some of the resources that are out there that other cultures benefit from, I have no clue about it, because it's not made readily available for us. We have to educate ourselves, but at the same time, we can't put it all on us and say, hey, we're going to tie this, we're going to tie a 50-pound concrete rock on us and then say, hey, you go swim across this river. That's not going to work like that. And we need to stop that.
Yep. 06.
Waiting for actionable items.
But I want to speak as a previous school teacher of 10 years in the St. Louis public school system. And my thing was always a situation when people start blaming teachers for not being invested or doing what they're supposed to do. I can't teach a child for 6 hours out of the day and that's all you want to do. Then they get to go home because you decided now I'm gonna go to school, or I'm gonna better myself, or I'm gonna have him or her watch their little brothers and sisters. You gotta still do that at home. And right now, homeschool has taught all of us the value of a teacher. If you want to think of them, you have now understood the value. You've understood the value of what teaching means. You understood the value of what it means to know that your child is educated and can read and can do math, because it only took a moment for you to stop when they came home and to ask them a question other than how was your day, and they say fine, and you let that go. You don't just let that go there. Let's talk about what you learned. What was the point in what you learned today? And then I used to have plenty of parents that say, well, I can't keep up with the book stuff that you're doing, and I can't do so and so. Okay, but if we need to teach fractions, we can always just pull out a cookbook and let's put together some cookies and let's look at fractions and we cut this in half. Or if you're at the grocery store, you can say what a pound is and what a quart is to a gallon. You know, there are real life situations that you can adapt to that book. And my
hey, let me jump in real quick.
Education system, when a parent don't want to stay at home and figure out, does my child know how to read? My mother had an 8th grade education. I went as far as calculus in high school, and my mother looked at my calculus homework every night. Did I pay attention to this woman with an 8th grade education didn't even know what she was looking at? No, but she did her checks and balance. I had to bring her my homework every day, and she had to look at it, and she said, okay. So my thing is, just because you are unaware or don't know, and you don't choose to find out what you can find out now, because I'm sorry, this little device here will give you the world of information. And if we use it properly and get beyond, Facebook and Instagram.
If you care.
We might
If
learn
you care.
something.
If you care.
Can I say something?
Period.
Can I say something?
Erica's hand was up.
You a parent.
Tessie was first.
Erica's hands was up.
I agree with you, but I am a concerned parent. I didn't bring my child into this world for somebody else to take care of. And it goes back to starting at home. When he was barely able to stand up and walk, we had a backpack that we had flashcards in with colors, shapes, and all this stuff. And people would laugh at me and go, that baby too young to learn that stuff. No, man. He knew presidents, he knew states, he knew capitals, he knew shapes and colors before he ever got into kindergarten, because that was my responsibility. God gave me that job as a parent, and it is not the teacher's responsibility to babysit my kid all day long. Now, what I do, they build on what I did and enhance him for those hours of him at school. When he come home, you got homework? And he knows, and Kenny knows, he has sat here and brought some algebra to us. I thought it was Japanese. I'm like, I don't know. But we got on Google and we searched and we figured out how to figure out how to work. It is not those teachers' responsibility to sit there and
want to know someone.
It is my job. It is my job as a parent. My child knew how to read before he ever got to kindergarten, because it is my job. And that's what parents go wrong. They think the teacher's responsibility to do it. No, it's not. What are you doing all evening? When I had a kid, my life stopped. Because it is my job to raise that kid. I got a black male. My job to make sure I raise that black child to be something awesome.
So we have gone an hour, almost 2 hours. So we're going to wrap this up. Last comment.
Really, Nikki? Really, Nikki?
We're cutting it off. And we can go on and on and on about this conversation and this topic, with this conversation and this topic. However, now we're getting into the parenthood, which is a whole different topic, and we're getting off topic at the moment. Still relevant, still very much relevant, but wanted to make sure that we stuck with the topic. Want to get one more voice in who we have not heard at all from, to give us some remarks because of some of her background.
Melanie.
Some of the things that, if you can give us, yes, Mel, give us some a couple things from the workplace that if someone who's listening and wanted to incorporate some things in their workplace, consider those of us, those of color. What did you share with them?
We can't hear you, Mel.
Are you on mute? It's your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's slow.
Yes, it's dragging. See if you can find another spot.
No, check it out. No. Oh, it is my internet.
Get closer to your box, ma'am.
On the other side of the match.
She is. So Mel's with a global institution, and the work that she does is on a global platform. So when we talk about this whole concept of making sure, creating inclusive environment.
Nikki, by the way, I was bringing it back to that. So.
7:46. We supposed to be done at 7:30. Mel. Okay, now you're frozen. You may need to go outside.
You need to catch the internet, Mel.
She got one bar.
Let's take
Brian, go fix it.
Catch the internet.
Come on, Tess. What's the workplace?
Okay, so I was bringing it back to the workplace until Mel can get her internet working right. Okay. Just saying, in the workplace, and I agree with a lot of people on here that you can't expect for them to be able to right the wrongs of so many people.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
But just one moment. Just one moment. Go ahead, Tess.
I say this only because in the workplace, there's only a few. It does not affect the masses. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we need it to affect the masses. It's only a handful.
Rome wasn't built in a day, though.
No, it wasn't. But I'm saying it only
Down
affects a few, and it's only going to affect the few that's working with them. They're going to tailor it to who is working there.
Right.
They're not going to tailor it to bring in a massive amount of people of color. They're going to tailor it. They're going to design it for just the ones that are working there for now. And if they decide to hire more people of color, then we can adjust it as we go along. So to me, it's not as what can they do? I mean, you're going to make me feel okay for the moment.
Well, this is not, but that's the thing about this work. It's not a one and done.
It's going to be a one and done.
But
trust me.
But my question was just your recommendation.
But I mean, I can't recommend them to feel some type of way about me and change overnight. I can't.
Okay.
There's no solution to 400 years of suppression.
Michelle.
So when they bring our educated Black women in for these executive positions, these directors positions, and put us in place, because our Black male, they don't want to stand up to. So now they say, well, to meet their guidelines, we're going to put our executive brown women or women, period, in front to meet that quota that they're trying to stand on. That's the thing that I don't agree with, because I feel like, don't put us in a position because you're trying to meet a quota or trying to keep your board balanced or whatever. Do it because you know that we're solid in what we do. We're solid in who we are, and be able to respect, as we said at the table together, that we are equal. And we don't get that.
Mel, let's see if we can get you going this time.
Yeah, can you hear me better now?
A little
Stand
better.
up.
Wi-Fi. Where's your Wi-Fi box at? Where's your Wi-Fi? Where your router at?
I don't know.
Wherever your router is, you need to be a little closer.
To be on top of it.
Okay, so we're gonna start GoFundMe for your Wi-Fi.
Hey Nick.
Sean is gonna
right next to it. That's the question, and you have been working in global situations yourself. So, what, as a diversity person of your past and present, what is your advice to corporate America?
For me,
our moderator.
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, it is having someone in place, and there's a lot of companies, because it was trending the last 5 to 7 years. Everybody was wanting to get a chief diversity officer, but they didn't know what to do with it. They didn't know what to do with those people, and it was a job that just formed along the way, and then you end up handling crisis. And then I know, even for myself, I was handling legal matters, but no one ever sent me to be trained, but I was looked at to figure it out. Was able to figure things out, made some mistakes along the way, fixed them. But my thing is having someone in place, and I agree with you all that someone who's in place has to be someone who is truly comfortable with themselves, but also truly there to make a difference, not just to say yes. Yes. And like I said, even for me, there was a season in my career where I got so frustrated because it was like the sandbox was set up, and it's like you can play in the sandbox, but don't make sure you don't brush any sand outside of that box, then we have to have a conversation. But that's when I began to push back and I found my own voice. And so having strong people in these positions, but also having programs, but people, they like, even for me, having someone like myself come in to do a program for 90 minutes, that's not gonna fix it. I agree. And we were alluding to that earlier. I agree. This is ongoing work in the workplace. And while, yes, I agree that we have to do some things on our own, again, back to the topic, which was just the workplace, leadership has so much to do with the outcomes that we see, and they have to be committed. But somebody has to hold them committed if they're not, because yes, not everybody's gonna be on board. But that's why you have those in the corporations that's gonna push the envelope, and they're gonna make some noise, and they're gonna show up, and they're gonna call people out.
But how long would that last? If you have a person that is out there pushing for the diversity in a corporation, but you have a CEO. I know I'm saying, but you have a CEO and a president who is not trying to do that.
Who still has a voice.
And I'm saying you can have them voice an opinion, tell them we need to do all these changes, we can do X, Y, and Z, but if they're still not willing to make those changes will not happen.
Then my advice, and if it's not working for you, but you need to find a new employment.
Then you need to find a new job. You have to find new employment.
That's my point.
Right. If you make a statement is made, and then it is left to interpretation to deal with how they want to deal with. If you literally put in writing your opinions and you give them a process, and you track that situation and you stay on top of that situation, things are bound to change because you have them now agreeing to something. That's just like you tell people when you send an email, that's your timestamp. So if somebody promised you something in a workplace situation and they had a conversation with you, but you didn't put it in writing, so now you got to go back and say, well, they said a couple of weeks ago that it was a possibility that I could get some more opportunities and stuff. Okay, so did you follow that up with an email? People respond quickly in writing. That's why I don't complain. That's why I don't have to fight, because when it gets to that point where you're so fed up, if you take the time to write, people will listen, because I was told that by Diane White. We do better when we put our thoughts down in writing, because we take the anger out of it while we're doing it, and we get an opportunity to shape it and make sure we're saying what we need to say. Then we can present it. We can have them sign for it. They have it. Then when they say, oh, well, I don't remember, like, no, we did that. So by the time you want to go to your HR department and say, I think we all need to sit down and have a kumbaya moment, then you have the opportunity, because I gave you this once. We discussed it again. I sent you an email. We have a tracking of it. I have all of that. So now I don't look like a crazy person when I talked to you last month. And I'm sitting up here grabbing out the air. Well, I think I remember when we sat down right after everything happened and you asked us what could we do to make our workplace better. I think I said, no, I know exactly what I said, because I gave you a copy of what I said. I sent it to you by email. I asked you 2 weeks later where we were at with that, assistance. So put it in writing, put a plan together, and see what you want to execute. Like she said, Rome wasn't built in a day. So you find a piece that you can work, something that's going to make you feel better about what you're doing on your job, that you have reached out to those to get them to understand you a little bit better. We have to try.
Okay,
we have an opportunity. We got mailbag.
We have mail.
Yeah.
Mail.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yay!
Okay, Mel, give us some insight from your perspective, from a global perspective.
Yes. So, I've worked for a global organization for many years at this point, and there's not a lot of people of color in management or above. I was fortunate enough to be able to work my way up to management, but it wasn't without a fight. Like, you have to be able to have your voice, but do it in a way where you're still respected. Right now, this was a terrible, terrible week for me work-wise. And sometimes it's okay just to step back and take those moments, right? Because you're not feeling like you're being heard, or you feel like there hasn't been justice, or, you know, whatever it is. It's okay to have those moments. You have to give yourself some grace, but then you still have to go back in there and fight the good fight, because you're fighting for the people that's coming behind you. You know, now you have to keep fighting that fight, because if we don't, we'll never get to a spot where we want to be, right? So we have to continue to do what we have to do, hold our tongue, you know, show up, and you know, like Erica was saying earlier, you know, I dress for the job that I want, not for the job that I have, always have, right? But we have to, right? Because
why?
Because we're already at a disadvantage. We're already at a disadvantage because of the color of our skin. So in order for people to look past that, you dress for the job that you want. And you use that to your advantage. It doesn't work all the time. It doesn't. It depends on what company you're at. It depends on what leader you have. It depends on all sorts of things, and it has to swirl in the right way in order for you to get ahead. And sometimes it doesn't work. So then maybe you try again at another company, right? You try again under a different manager in a different job. But you can't give up the fight just because it's not happening in the timeline that you wanted, or the way that you wanted, or in the role that you wanted. You know, you can't give up the fight, because then we're still at ground zero. So in order to make some progress, we have to continue the fight. You know, I have a friend that relocated to Germany, African American woman, relocated to Germany, and I say to her almost every day, girl, I don't know how you did it. Just because my one week a month trip, I'm ready to come home after day 3. I'm like, I'm good on this, right? Because you get stared down in restaurants. Cab drivers don't want to let you ride in their cab. You know, the people that you work with are like, you don't know what you're talking about, so why are you even here? So I'm experiencing that just, you know, in a couple of days of being there. And then she moved there. But you know what she did this week? She sent out a note to our entire HR leadership team and said, hey, I want to help you understand what it's like to be African American. Let's have the conversation. Let me be your safe space to answer any questions that you might have, so I can educate you. I applaud her for doing that, because this week I was like, don't nobody say nothing to me. How about that? Okay. Next week it'll be a better week for me. But this week I didn't have to send an article to a colleague and say that the article that I'm sure we all saw that says, hey, white people, your Black colleagues are not okay. I absolutely sent it to somebody.
Yep.
Okay. What? You know, because he was like, you look fine, Melanie. I said, I'm gonna send you an article when we're done with this call, because I'm not fine, right?
Right.
And so it's that doesn't mean that I'm giving up the fight. That meant this week I wasn't being bothered with them. But
such a good weekend before.
They ain't got nothing to do with what happened on Monday. Yeah, my weekend was fantastic, but then come Monday morning, I was like, I'm done, right? I don't want to do this.
But I think you brought up a great point about how even the impact from what occurred still impacted us. Mm-hmm. And that vibration was felt across the world, as we saw so many different people across the globe standing with us in regards to, like, we need justice. We need to have equity. But what's so interesting too is that you brought up the fact that we fight because it's not just about us. It's not just about this moment. It's about our kids. It's about those who are coming up behind us. And even no matter how small of the role it is that you may play in your fight, and I say fight with air quotes because it's not meant for all of us to be out on the street protesting. It's not meant for all of us to be talking and sending emails to our bosses, but we each have a part to play. And once we figure out what that part is to play and to contribute to the advancement of people of color, get busy and understand that difference, no matter how small, it matters.
Right. And you know, I use my Facebook platform and my Instagram platform this week And, you know, I have so many people at work that follow me and all this stuff. So, you know, I was very conscious of what I was posting, but I was still trying to educate at the same time, right? Like there's a whole cartoon video. I don't know if you guys saw it on systematic racism that really broke down. It was a 4-minute video. Like, let me help you understand what systematic racism is, right? So that's the type of thing I'm posting. And I've had so many of my Caucasian friends that I've known since private school reach out to me and say, you have helped me this week understand. I've known you for most of my life, and I now at age 44, I understand what you're talking about. So it's when you can make those little impacts on people that have known you, they know you, you went to school with them, they've seen you, you know, they've been around your family and everything. When you can make those little impacts with people, that's helping our children in the future, because that's going to change how they raise their children.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. We're at our 2-hour mark. And we usually close out with prayer, because what we have had some very, very real conversation tonight. And I just want to thank you to each of you for your different perspectives, your lived experiences, your input, to be continued, because this can never end. This conversation can never end. I want to also say, hey, you know, we'll see what schedules are like, and we'll coordinate this part 2, because I think everybody wants to talk about the families and the ownership and the responsibility of self and us as a race. So we can continue that on the next go round. Kim, are you ready?
I am, but because I have my cousin, our own pastor, online. Marseille, did you want to pray us out?
You gonna yield us? You gonna yield us?
Stop it.
Pray us out, Marseille.
Marseille,
all right. Father God, in the name of Jesus, Lord God, we thank you first off simply just for being our God, for being our Savior, for being our Redeemer. Father God, I thank you for allowing us to make it through one more day, to make it to this very point in time. Thank you for your protection. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your wisdom. Father God, I thank you personally for these individuals gathered here this evening. I thank you, Father God, for it has been good and healing for me to hear their voices, and I thank you for that. Father God, I ask that your grace will reign supreme over this land, not just this country, but this whole entire earth, Father God. And I pray that in somehow, some way, when all of this is done, that you receive the glory, Father. For when you bring this country, this land, this world through this, you will still be sitting on the throne, still looking down. And all things, Father God, for your word tells us that all of this somehow, even though we might not understand it, even though we might not always see where it's going, we know that you will receive glory for this, and that all of these things work together for the good of them that love you, Father God. And I ask that you will protect those that are living and living day to day in this entire world. Keep us from hurt, harm, or danger. But Father God, the one thing that I pray above all things is that you change the heart of man. For we can have program after program, meeting after meeting, convo after convo, but unless you come in and the heart of man is changed, you are the only one that can soften a hardened heart. And unless the heart is changed, Father God, we'll still be here 40 years later. So I pray, God, that the heart changes. I pray that their hearts change. And Father God, I just thank you for another day. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 So a family that prays together.
Stays
Stays together.
together.
Until
All right,
next
Tyler.
time. Just one moment.
We're not.
No, I think it's still because she's got